she suddenly had a feeling that something was off in her life. She approached a mirror and noticed a face that she didn't recognize. With her jet black hair and dark eyes, she resembled a cute Japanese doll, only missing a kimono to complete the look. Her heart raced as she repeated the words, kimono, and Japanese. A flash of memories ran in her mind as she didn't understand what just happened. She was surprised to get reincarnated as Amelia Dolkness in her favorite Odome game. She remembered in her previous life, she was a Japanese college student. Her head was exploding with pain as her previous memories rushed in her mind. She went close to her table and wrote down every single piece of information with her quill pen. In this life, she reincarnated as the eldest daughter of Count Dolkness. Aside from being a noble, her parents preferred to live in the royal capital rather than their territory. She looked at the information on the piece of paper, but there wasn't enough information on it. She searched for even more information and found a book written in a language unknown to her. Outside of her room, there were two maids gossiping something about the young miss. She turned around and called both of her maids back to her. They were shocked after hearing the young miss' voice. She only wanted them to read the book for her. After hearing her request, both of the maids rush away from there to prepare a home tutor for her. After gaining her previous life memories, Amelia frequently visited a library to learn more about this world. From picture book to political document, she hasn't left any book unturned. Before long, she realized there was a legend associated with this country. The demon lord had the same black hair like her. Unfortunately, black color is considered a sign of bad luck in her country, which is why her parents and maids have been avoiding her. Additionally, Amelia discovered that she had played this game and it is called Light Magic and Hero, also known as Hikyu, in her past life. The game was centered around swords and magic, with a commoner heroine who entered the Royal Academy using her light magic. She formed close bonds with the main characters and defeated the demon lord together. At first, the heroine failed miserably, but as time passed, she succeeded in capturing the hearts of the main characters. The game was unique as it offered a huge amount of happy endings. Amelia's role was Villainess, who loved to harass the heroine in the game. The other feature which makes it as a unique game is its RPG battle scenes and the challenging content with different physical and magical strategies the players have to use to defeat the enemies. To achieve the happy ending, the heroine has to defeat the last boss, Amelia. Many players can defeat the Dark Lord with the dark magic resistance and light magic, but it is useless against the hidden boss. If the players use the same strategy, they will die from the last boss's physical attack. Or if they invest too heavily in physical attacks, they will die by the last boss's dark magic. Players had to use brute force to defeat the demon lord and the last boss. The reason why they make her so much stronger is due to her hatred towards the heroine, who got along very well with the main characters. In the end, Amelia is defeated by the heroine and her friends. But this time, she had decided to change her ending. To change the story of the game, she had drafted her hidden plan. She had planned to raise her level to defeat the demon lord in the future. She planned to visit dungeons after the home tutor classes. She sneaks around after the class ended and left the mansion from its side entrance and went to the forest. A slime appeared in front of her. She finds it as a perfect opportunity to raise her level and try out her power. Amelia used her power on the slime and reduced it to ashes. After defeating the slime, she picked up the magic stone. She leveled up and became happy, and her movements became a little bit faster. With her first victory, she became determined to level up more and went on a killing streak by hunting down every single monster in the forest. Little by little she hunted down and cleared out the entire forest from the monsters. Even after clearing out the monsters, she wasn't satisfied, as she wants more to raise her level. And for that reason, she went solo in a dungeon to level her up. Her senses were enhanced and helped her to look in the dark. And she learned recovery magic spell. After clearing her first dungeon, she went again on the killing spree and hunted down every single dungeon in the territory. She even used growth items and forced monsters to come out. She was single-mindedly focusing on raising her level. As 10 years have passed like this, Amelia enrolled in the Royal Academy and enters her dorm room. Her maid greeted Amelia as she was expecting to serve the young lady of the house. She greeted the maid and wished her all the best to take care of her. Rita only wished her good luck and returned to her room, as she was appointed by the master of the house. Amelia thanked her maid and went to rest. The next day at the school entrance ceremony, after the headmaster finished his speech, Amelia attended the ceremony with other students, but felt that many people were staring at her. As a growing lady, she had learned enough manners of not embarrassing her in front of others. As she was growing, her eyes became colder, but it shouldn't be a problem with her face. She turned around and looked at the other guy who was staring at her. It seemed like everyone was staring at her black hair color, and the legend associated with the black hair was pretty serious. One of the staff members announced they had begun to take the level measurement of all students. Since after coming into this world, Amelia went on a killing spree, due to which she didn't know on which level she had ended. And she even tried to summon the status screen in the game, like every novel protagonist, but it never happened. William Aries, one of the main characters, was on level 10. She was surprised by one of the main character's levels. In order not to stand out, she wanted to be around level 5, but it seemed like it wouldn't be possible for her. After that, the headmaster called Amelia to check her level. She walks and think about not to stand out as much as possible. The headmaster assures her there is nothing to be ashamed of even if she is on level 1. But Amelia was worried about something else. She touched the magical instrument and her level was displayed on the magical instrument. The headmaster was surprised by the eldest daughter of Count Dolkness was on level 99. Everyone was surprised as they heard about the level 99. Amelia became afraid that her quiet, peaceful days and her plan not to stand out was over. Watching her power at level 99, the headmaster thought it would be an error in the magical instrument and he ordered his staff to bring out another device to measure her level. Yet again, the result was the same. Her power level was indeed level 99. One of her teachers asked her if she was aware of her power level. According to the situation, Amelia decided to play offensive and bluntly claimed there was no mistake with her power level. One of her teachers approached close to her and said it's a different story unless she didn't defeat monsters. As he wanted Amelia to answer her honestly. Headmaster steps in and diffuses the tense situation in the main hall. He instructed Amelia to finish her greeting and return to her seat. He wanted to test her on how much she was telling the truth. It seemed like even the headmaster doubted her ability. She was returning to her seat and thought about the worst-case scenario in which she would escape from the kingdom, but it seemed like her other plan had worked. As the heroine didn't draw any special attention to herself, the entrance ceremony closed as well. On her way back to the dorm, she was approached by one of the main characters, William Aries. She wasn't ready for this situation. She was surprised as William approached her and asked, isn't she going to attend the new students' welcome party or not? Generally, William is a musclehead and, as he poses a strong sense of justice along with his short temper, she asked him, is it about the level of measurement? William agrees and bombards her with arguments. Another main character gets close to William and comforts him to calm down. The second main character, Edwin Varshine, is the youngest prince of the kingdom and one of the main characters of the game. Amelia greeted him formally. Edwin answered her by insulting her family as she and her family are pseudo-metropolitan. Edwin further said William has worked hard to achieve level 10, but Amelia only tramples her hard work by reaching level 99. Amelia was surprised, as she wondered why everyone thought she had cheated, but she remained on her claim that she is at level 99. They assume the truth will come out once the lessons begin. Someone else enters the scene and asks her, if is she going to stay with her ignorance claim till the very end, as everyone knows that level 99 isn't possible to achieve. It was the last main character, Oswald Grismart of the game. All three of the main characters were close childhood friends who got along with each other very well. Amelia was confused as she had nothing to do with them. Edwin turned around and asked her what is the matter, say something. She only replied there is a commoner who can use light magic, and she is facing difficulties as she wasn't familiar with this place. So why not to go and help her? Edwin took her suggestion and went that way. He turned and said as he won't let Amelia off the hook so easily. She returned to her room as she was tired from all the hassle. Rita asked her didn't she want to attend the welcoming party. Amelia only said she didn't want to attend it, but her maid was worried as she wouldn't be able to find a good partner for herself in the future. She looked at her maid as she was trying to keep this topic up. Her maid replied and said the second prince was in her class. She replied she had already got on the bad side of the second prince. She looked at her maid and asked about the word pseudo-metropolitan means. Her maid only tells her there is nothing to be worried about. Rita told her the difference between the metropolitan nobles and the provincial nobles, as Amelia belonged to the class of provincial nobles. The pseudo-metropolitan is a term used to refer to the provincial nobles who always reside in the capital without having any work. From Amelia's perspective, these nobles are only good for nothing. Her maid flinches as she agrees more to it. The next morning, in the classroom, she was completely isolated as everyone ignored her. But being isolated and invisible is very much preferable for her as she won't have to deal with all the hassle for the next 3 years. Thanks to her enhanced senses, she can hear everything clearly that her classmates are whispering about her. Amelia was surprised as her classmates were eager to see the proof of her level 99. She looked in the other direction and saw the heroine had already captured the hearts of the main characters. Amelia was surprised as she saw how the main characters were conversing with each other. As it is too early for them, she only thought about the scenario as it changed her existence as an irregularity in the main storyline. In the game, the default heroine was cheerful and had an optimistic personality. Due to her light magic, she was granted admission into the Royal Academy. Alicia looked at her as she considered Amelia her enemy. She didn't understand what was with her. After that, she went to the swordsmanship class. She looked at the wooden sword in wonder, as the sword reminds her about the souvenir that she got during the school trip. The teacher announced a mock battle to review students' performance and their abilities, and Amelia was the first one to fight in those battles. His first opponent was the main character William Aries, from the entrance ceremony. She looks at him and wonders if all the knights are hot-blooded like him. Battle was about to start between them. Amelia only thought about how she could hold back, as she didn't want William to be dead. William was kind enough to give her a chance to quit, but she bowed down and accepted his challenge. She even warned Amelia not to blame her if she get hurt in the battle. In her mind, William's survival depends on how well Amelia controls her strength. The teacher instructs them to stand by and get ready for the battle. William was ready, but it seemed like Amelia had a problem with her sword. She looked at William and said they could begin at any moment. He got furious as he thought that Amelia had insulted her in many ways. He had decided not to go easy on her. His moments were too slow for her. She easily dodges his attack and makes him trip by placing her sword close to his feet. Everyone was silenced by her victory. She looked at her teacher and asked him did she had to press on or she can stop right here. The teacher was about to announce Amelia victory. But the battle wasn't over yet. William rose from the ground. As the battle had not ended yet, he was mad at her. As she makes a fool out of him, he tries his best in his anger to strike at her. But Amelia strikes her sword as a baseball bat and sends him out of the ground. Her hand feels numb as she thinks that he is surprisingly tough. Everyone around her became silenced, as they were surprised by her strength. She walked closer to William, and thought if anything happened to him, she would pin down all the blame on the teacher. She checked on William and it seemed like he was fine. She asked the teacher to carry him to the infirmary, but his teacher had decided to take him by himself, as he was responsible for his injury. When he was taking him to infirmary, he instructed every single student to self-train and practice their swings until he didn't get back. Amelia was covered by a strange silence as she thought about practicing her sword swings. She looked around to imitate someone's sword swings, but all of them had backed off due to fear. She only thought she held herself back as William didn't get to reduce to the ashes. In the magic class, the teacher asked all of the students to demonstrate their magic powers as she wanted to measure their powers. In the world of Hikyu, magic was divided into 4 classes: fire, water, wind, and earth. Light magic and dark magic users are rare cases and very few have appeared in quite some centuries. In the magic class, Oswald steps forward and demonstrates his magic. In front of everyone, they were amazed by seeing his magic ability. Her teacher was amazed as Oswald had learned the mastery of all 4 magic elements, as she expected nothing less from Oswald. He looked at her and wondered what type of magic she could even use. It seems like he didn't participate in the swordsmanship class as he was ignorant and didn't know what happened to William in that class. She steps forward and clenches her fist. In her entire life, she focused on maxing her physical strength and dark magic. Before using her magic, she asked her teacher if it was fine the target got destroyed. The armor was made from unique iron, which made it highly durable. Oswald and the teacher looked at her and thought for a moment. After that, the teacher gave her permission to destroy the armor and thought only the royal magicians could destroy that armor. She thanked her teacher for the permission. Amelia raised her hand and summoned dark flame to destroy the armor. After looking at her tiny dark flame, Oswald mocked her as he was expecting something big from her. But her teacher was surprised as she saw the armor melted after it got hit by the dark flame. Other students once again became silent as they thought about her dark magic. Amelia replied that she could only use dark magic, and she's hopeless when it comes to using another type of magic. After observing her magic, the teacher praised her, and told other students that dark magic users were part of the royal court in the past. Jealous of her abilities and power, Oswald refused to accept and acknowledge her as a genius and ran away from there while he was crying. Edwin stepped forward with Amelia's dismissal form to make her leave the academy. He thinks Amelia isn't suited best for the academy. As she wondered about him, he was missing the afternoon classes, as he was up to these kinds of things. The headmaster stepped forward to defend Edwin against Amelia, but her magic class teacher stepped forward and requested headmaster and young prince to wait and hold on as she wanted to say something. She explained Amelia was a rare dark magic user, and she had demolished the target, which royal magicians struggled to destroy. And she likely belongs to level 99. Edwin theoretically said that even the royal court magicians could destroy that armor, as it didn't serve the proof that she belonged to level 99. If they want to stop her, they have to present a proof. Seemed like he was determined to make her leave the academy. Her teacher called and asked Amelia to use her magic at full strength right now, which can serve as proof of her power level. Amelia agreed and decided to use her magic in the sky. First, she asked permission from the second prince. He allows it and gives her permission to use the magic as he wants Amelia to get over with it. Amelia was ready as she looked up in the sky and used her ultimate magic spell, the black hole, which created a massive black hole in the sky. The black hole started to suck every single thing around him. After a little moment, she stopped as everyone was lying on the ground due to her immense power. She smiled and got closer to the second prince, and asked His Highness that is it enough to serve as evidence of her level 99 or not. After the black hole incident, she was summoned to the palace to have an audience with the king. As she moved in the audience room to have an audience with the king, the guard around the king started to whisper some stupid rumors about her and her black hair. Instead of paying her mind to the rumors, she formally greeted the king, queen, and looked at them. As she didn't sense any form of hatred from them, the king apologized to her as his son had caused trouble for Amelia. All the guards became surprised as the king lowered his head. She assured the king there was nothing to apologize for, and she apologized to the king that she was acted out on her own and creating trouble for those around her. King requested her to raise her head, and said there were many ways to find out her magic level, from the entrance ceremony to making her use magic, as it was unreasonable to denounce it with the arbitrary decision. He further said it is hard to believe that such a young lady has already reached level 99, even though some of the king's subordinates had their suspicion of her being level 99. Therefore, he had called the captain of the Knight Circle Adolf to pass his judgment on her. He pulled out his sword from scabbard and charged at Amelia. But Amelia's mind was preoccupied with many different thoughts about whether to fight or hold back. She only ducked and dodged his attack. After the attack, Adolf put his sword back in his scabbard and apologized to Amelia for his surprise attack. Amazed by her physical abilities, the king wanted to see her magical abilities. She agreed and used a skilled shadow lance, which forms dark spikes on the ground. The king was amazed by her dark magic, and the sister aura that her shadow spikes were emitting. The king called the chief royal magician and asked about her dark magic. The chief royal magician explained despite its aura, it was not different from the other four elements, and the nature of thread depends upon its user. After hearing the head royal magician answer, His Majesty asked him he had heard high-ranking demons can use dark magic. In response to the king, Royal Mage only replied there are many demons who can use all four elements, and some demons can even use light-type magic. In the past, there were very few dark magicians, which only increased the negative perception of people around them. After the Royal Mage explanation, the king had concluded that it is the case of Faring the Unknown, and it is also the reason that many people despise her black hair. She only looked in wonder as the king and the Royal Mage were having the dialogue. For her sake, the king looked at Amelia and praised her. Despite being young, she had reached the world's greatest heights. He wanted to hear about how did she reach level 99. She explained that she hadn't done anything special. It's just that she had cleared out the monsters from the forest and the dungeons in her territory, and used growth charm and demon flute to increase her level. All the knights were surprised and shocked by her training method. As they think of her as some kind of demon, the king looks at his most loyal knight captain and asks him if he can replicate her training method. But the captain of the knights suggested it would be more like a suicide than the training exercise. Amelia was only surprised by the reaction on their face. His Majesty requested Amelia to use her powers for the kingdom. She agreed to become one of the subjects of the king and serve him to protect the kingdom. King only hoped she would land her powers when the dangers lurk around the kingdom. Because of her utmost loyalty, the king wanted to reward her and said she can wish for anything and there is no need to hesitate. Even if it is title, land, or national treasures, or even becoming part of the royal family. She was grateful to the king offer, but the only thing that she wished for was the peaceful life. King has decided to devote himself to fulfill her wish. and he further said, if she even wanted to ask for something more, then there is no need to hesitate. She can ask at any time. With that, her audience with the king came to an end. She finally thought she was released, but for some reason, she found herself in a different room. She asked the maid about the reason for bringing her into this room. She only replied that Amelia had been invited to the Queen's tea party. Queen came and thanked Amelia for attending the party. He also wanted His Majesty to join them, but he was incredibly busy. Amelia formally greeted the Queen and thanked her for the party invitation. His Highness assured him there is no need to be so formal, as it is an informal occasion. But before the Queen spoke, she wanted Amelia to promise her about the words they exchanged with each other should remain in this room. Because it's something that she didn't let others know, she had a bad feeling about this. As she wanted to rush home, the Queen smiled and said, there is no need to keep her guard up. She and the king have taken a liking to her. She even praised Amelia for her response in the audience room. The Queen explained that many nobles approach the royal family for some reason, but, seeing Amelia isn't one of them, and she is the one they can trust at this moment. His Highness came to the point and said the information she was going to pass Amelia was confidential, and very few nobles and the royal family members knew about this. She exclaimed after 2 years, the Demon Lord would rise again and she needed her help to defeat the Demon Lord. She was surprised and asked the Queen if she talking about the Demon Lord of the legend, and the Queen agreed. The reason why Alicia has to enroll in the Royal Academy, as the royal family predicted the Demon Lord's resurrection. She bluntly agreed with His Highness. In advance, the Queen had foretold Amelia about the Demon Lord's castle location as it is in Anemone, on the Savage Lands. According to the legends, the Demon Lord can manipulate demons according to his power, and the clash would be inevitable if the demon forces rise again. To prevent this, the royal family has created a strategy to subjugate the Demon Lord by establishing the defense crops. And the Demon Lord's subjugations would consist of the second prince and his friends with Miss Alicia and Knight Captain Adolf. The Demon Lord's subjugation is a mission the royal family truly want to accomplish at any cost. After that, the Queen asked Amelia about her opinion on his strategy. The first thing she noticed it would be concerning for the knights on the battlefield when they fight from the demon army if their captain is missing from the battlefield. But the Queen said they needed the knight captain's help to defeat the Demon Lord. Even in the legends, the Demon Lord's strength is unknown. Amelia wanted to protect the kingdom at any cost to reduce the risk of being invaded by the demon army. She had decided to create multiple copies of herself, which would help her to fight on both fronts. She only assured the Queen by saying that she would take part in the Demon Lord's subjugation squad, and defeat him for sure. The Knight Captain can focus on protecting the civilians. Without any doubt, the Queen liked this bold proposal. If Amelia joins the battlefield and kills the Demon King, then they will be victorious on the battlefield. In that case, the members of the Demon Lord subjugation squad will include Amelia, Alicia, and the second Crown Prince, and his childhood friends. Amelia was surprised by His Highness's boldness and thought how things went out like this. Before she left, she told the Queen about his second son's condition, that he is no condition to fight the Demon Lord even though his elder brother, Morris, would be a better fit than him. But the Queen showed him that there was no need to be concerned about it and said his son can achieve anything that he puts his mind to. The prince has the natural ability to achieve the military's feats easily. She believed too much in her child. Amelia was dumbstruck by her ideology as she didn't want to be like her when she grew up. The Queen looked and offered her the position of saint and wanted her to marry his son Edwin. She humbly declined the offer as there was someone else who was fit for that role. The Queen apologized as she spoke her mind, but she wasn't bothered by it. The reason why the Queen wanted her to become the saint is because it would help her to reduce the prejudice against her black hair. His Highness told her there were many pressing issues as the nobles were trying to reach closer to Amelia and pull her into their fraction as the news of her level 99 had already been spread out. Amelia suggested joining His Majesty's fraction to resolve this problem. The Queen explained the current situation. The King and she belong to the main fraction, known as the Moderator's fraction, and the opposing fraction is known as the Radical fraction, led by the Great Duke and Kane, the provincial nobles who love and tend to live in the royal capital. And these nobles are part of the Radical fraction, and House of Dolkness is also no exception. In other words, Amelia's family is under the Duke Ilrose thumb. As the member of the Radical faction, she asked the Queen what should she do if her family tried to engage her with someone from the Ilrose dukedom. The Queen suggested that she issue a royal decree that forbids her parents from transferring her name to any other family, and she could only stop them from pursuing her until his graduation. She thanked the queen for helping her. The queen even gave her the word of advice that she should keep her distance from the Hill Rose Dukedom, as the other nobles from the foreign countries won't remain silent after learning that a level 99 individual has appeared in their country. She only wishes for Amelia to enjoy her youth during her time in the academy. At the nightfall, Amelia was finally released from the queen. She thought the queen wanted to tie her down as a weapon for the kingdom. The queen cried as she listened to her story. She even gave him a present when she was partying up with him. But there was something else in which she was more interested, as she wanted to use her ability to manipulate and control the demon to upgrade her skills. She returned to her dorm room. Her maid greeted Amelia and showed her the number of marriage proposals from the renowned family that had come for her. She wasn't interested in them and asked her maid to brew some black tea for her. Her maid asked her about the contents of the box as it was presented by His Highness. She was surprised to see the first-class pastries in front of her. She rushed to prepare tea for her.